And now it is time for our one-on-one conversation with Sasonu Sathu, Chief Human Resources Officer at Synarmas Mining. Once again, a very warm welcome to you, Sathu. So my first question to you is, Shashwat just spoke a lot about adaptability and how it is so critical in the context that we are talking of, in the times that we are living in today, Sathu. So what does adaptability mean to you in today's context, to your organization, to your industry?
Yes. Okay, I will start that because I'm working for people, managing people. They call it you are people master, all the HR, things like that. But it is tough for us. What I think is the third part. The first is people. The second is the adaptability about organization as agility, right? We are not talking about pyramid in today's context, but become holocracy, which is be more flexible, the organization, reporting line, project management, and they call it squad team. They call it agile, what you call like a tribe agility and a squad team, right? And then the last one actually is the technology, but it's not the technology itself, but we are talking about the how change management happen. That's the context that more important according our experience. So that's why the e-culture become more challenging. You know, managing one company is really tough. But here, 60 company, you can see the policies different, right? Different CEO, different expectation. And, you know, between mining is already different between gold and coal, right? And then jump to startup media lifestyle like Netflix. We have a Genflix, right? Which is millennial, as Mr. Sawat telling before. The millennial generation is totally different, right? They're talking about purpose, right? So that's the adaptability that I mean must conclude the three parts.
All right, great. Thank you, Shashu. Would you like to add to that? I think adaptability in the context of 60 companies under one roof. What are your views on that?
Right.
No. So, in fact, that's I will ask Pak Satya to add is how he manages that diversity, because just imagine if he just even does a connect with each company a month, what's happening to him. So, Pak Satya, you are really. I can just try to imagine your challenge. So, can you add more? What you have learned and why it's important, Pak Satya, is that if you look at Asia has many conglomerates, and some of the insights when you share on the conglomerate journey, how you drive a transformation and still execute, it's really it's of value, because many conglomerates just give up. They say that it's too difficult, let's not do that. Some of them succeed. So it's interesting to hear from you.
Yes. So I will continue, because this conglomerate is totally different when I work with other conglomerate before. So first, my owner actually is generation 3. So he likes to be make conglomerate within conglomerate. Means that every single years he acquired 4 to 5 new companies with different type of the industry and competencies. Second, the owner just only, I think the age is about 36 years old. His background is finance and technology. Oh my goodness, right? So he pushed us to be able to use technology as the future growth, right? So managing in different industry, yes, it is tough. Yeah, adaptability. The first thing is how we build our employee to become super job. So the concept actually is about agility, must be rotate to other business. Remember that we have 60, but next year's become 65. So how to manage our 4,000 employee to be relocated, like allocation. We call it resource allocation. So they need to develop another knowledge which is beyond on their competencies. For example, like me, I'm HR guys. I have to learn tech. I have to learn legal, finance, because someday my boss will assign me to another business as a CXO for operation, for example. Then I have to do. So same with the level below here. So we are lucky here compared with other conglomerates, because other conglomerates, they don't have any massive, I call it game changer. So here we always quiet. So means that this factor also push us to be agile, to be ready, right? To be adapt in everything. Sometimes, you know, we go in conglomerate in the morning like this, but afternoon the direction is changed, right? So that one is also a part of the game. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. I'm sure it's a very difficult job, and I think upskilling, reskilling, staying relevant is going to be very important for a huge organization like yours. Thank you.
That's
Thank
why.
you. Yeah.
That's why, in fact, how we develop employee become super job. So we open the platform again, because my boss is a tech guys. He gave me a chance to develop a platform, even you know, in a global enterprise, technology enterprises everywhere, right? But he still pushed us to open the development across globally, like Harvard, MIT, Cornell, everything come to us and give free for everybody to learn. That one is a support that was give to us to become super job.
Yes, great, great. Thank you for sharing that. My next question to you is about the study. We just saw the highlights. Shakti just shared them with you. What are some of the trends you think resonate most with what your business is going through right now?
Okay, before I'm going to the technology platform, what the HR transformation doing? The trends, things like I will see the trend is looking for the organization and structure, right? So if you don't have organization and structure who can adapt with the transformation, it is quite tough. If I'm going to the micro side, right? When we develop incentive design to each of the CEO, our business, because we have 60 company, then must think differently. Currently, what we are doing actually in 2017, the incentive for our CEO actually is about 80% to 90% related with the current business. Just spending 10% for the tech innovation. Then we fail. Because what? Because the CEO will ignoring the technology innovation to be applicable in their business. Now we are changing. So we are give 40% of his KPI to develop the technology innovation, the incubator and everything, right? Then this running, that's I call the organization readiness and accountabilities of the leadership, culture, things like that. So the culture leadership also including parameter that the trends. I see like a global company like Apple's, Google's, you know, they develop themselves. The leadership become holacracy. They are respect to holacracy rather than pyramid. So there is no boundaries. You know. Everybody can do the job. Even the CEO can do the small job and give challenge to the staff level. You know, things like develop in Google, they develop Gmail from the staff level until Gmail now become famous and big business for Google, right? So this also the trends that we follow. The third thing actually is what Mr. Sahwat say, the talent engine. You know, now we are going to technology-wise. How a company can survive with a lot of resources of talent. So a lot of engine now in the platform. We can look like Mr. Sahwat and me in our level is so many in a global, then we can approach whether become employment or just knowledge sourcing, crowdsourcing of the knowledge, right? So we don't need to employ them, but we can, collaborative working team as a knowledge. Now we are study with MIT robotics to do this project as well. And then the last one actually is the technology and data, the trends. We are talking about IoT. We are talking about the big data. And the most critical is using BI, business intelligence, artificial intelligence, AI, and also machine learning, right? And then we try to figuring our coal mining using robotics, using what you call instead of robotics is the analytics for prediction for the safety, because safety is matter with us. So they can give a preventative action, predictive action, until prescriptive. So looking for the future, not looking for the past. What we are learning actually is looking for the past to give solution today. But today on is not enough. We must predict on the future growth. That's the trend that we follow.
Great. Thank you. Shashwat, would you like to add to the kind of trends that are resonating most with Parth Satyau here?
No, that's true. The biggest change in HR will be the discipline around data and how you can use it to take right actions. And that's what Parth Satyau was saying. The other trend he mentioned was really the whole focus on really building some agility around capability and learning, so that people are learning, reskilling all the time. So I think that's core, because if you have that as the core piece of organization DNA, and that's what he was referring to, that all the leaders already know they will get anything assigned, and hence they need to be learning all the time. So once that mindset sets in, then you are really ready for many more uncertain things. So that's how you equip yourself to be ready for an unknown, because that unknown will hit you, but you are ready because you are skilled and you have capabilities, and that's consistent. So if Parth Satyau, the people who have done best even in COVID times are the people where they were focused on reskilling people and changing their minds, not necessarily skilling them just for a job. Because when that has happened, those people have stepped up and gone beyond their 9 to 6 job and done things and delivered. And multiple people did talk about that. So this, and in past, this would have appeared as HR speak, because HR always talks this language. The rest of the organization just focuses too much on technical skills. And now I think business has seen the value of it. So if you look at from a transformation perspective, a lot of things which HR was saying, and I don't think business was ever saying this is not true. They were saying this is good, but this is important but not urgent. So let's not do it. I think that has fundamentally changed. Now people say that some of these soft skills, mindset, this behavior really will help you succeed in hard times. And I think, and that's where, and HR has itself seen that extreme policy changes happen. So what HR used to believe that can never change in an organization happened in last 2 months. People change those things rapidly. So HR itself is ready to do way more change today than HR was ready 4-5 months back, because you always used to box in your question. Okay, this is the box, this is only we can do. Now when you go back and ask the same HR leaders, okay, this is the problem, how do you solve it? They will say, oh no, let's not consider these as constraints. Everything we can change subject to it coming with a logical reason for that. So that's a big change I am seeing. And that's where some of our trends, to Parth Satyau's point, points to this 4 months back behavior. If I account for this new 4 months, I think people will accelerate. HR will demand more value out of their investment. If HR was satisfied at level X, and as consultant, I fear it. Now HR leaders will say, oh, X is great, can we have X plus 5? So I think that's where HR is now hungry. And HR will get business support. Parth Satyau, two very large clients where we are working. Interestingly, now with COVID, you would have said that big transformation projects in HR may be under kind of challenge. It's actually the other way around. Business leaders came back and said, now we see value on why you were doing this. Can you accelerate? Do you need more money, more resources? But can we pull forward the timelines by 8 months? So in both the places, it has been such a surprising discussion. But when you think of it, it's not surprising because business realized that when HR is ready, then they ask HR to sit with them and say, now let's go and we'll do this transformation, this organization change, we'll merge these two companies. So imagine Park Satyo's life. In every year, two of his companies may get merged. Some will get divested. So now if all that can happen with a playbook and HR has the tool set ready, business will say, go and get it done quickly and come and say, when we are ready to do more changes faster. So that's the trend to me, which is the biggest change I am seeing. And I'm also partly afraid because now business will say with HR, can I have outcomes? So forget about your HR outcomes. Can we have real business outcomes and start working on those? So that's the change which is happening.
Great point, Ashwin. I think if anything, I think the whole HR transformation bit has just accelerated multifold in these 4 months, and we can see that in every organization, in every country, in fact. So thank you for sharing that. And on Park Satyo's point on how it's about now predicting what the future can be like based on data, that's going to be so critical. So Park Satya, my next question to you is about, as we are resuming businesses slowly, we are coming back to office, we're deciding how many people will work remotely, how many will come back to work, how will we take care of employee safety. What are some trends that you see will be most, critical for the future now?
Okay, so because some company may be different with a vision, mission, right? Our company actually is lucky giving us opportunity to build with the business, with the technology innovation, hackathons, lab, coding school, and everything. So I will be suggest to all HR going forward for the future, they must build HR cloud. So the HR cloud means that all the things HR can be more analytics, right? So they can give not just prediction, but also prescription, right? So the past that we learn in HR is only predictive. When we talk about 9 great people, right? On the right-hand corner is the star, right? But when business asking me, like Mr. Sawat say, what HR can contribute, then we say, okay, on the right corner. Are you sure on the right corner giving us dollar, giving revenue? HR also asking themselves, is it true or wrong? Because sometimes the assessment is still subjective, right? So how this can be handled more, more analytics, more data driven, right? More confidence, like governance and experience, things, the two things, right? And then after that, then we can deliver our commitment, right? If not, then we also doubtful. So I think, again, must go to HR cloud for the future. And second, actually, is develop our employee become a super job. So we must have the learning platform globally, and every single people can learn about technology, future trends, right? Then opportunities in anything. So in our group, we have 5 pillars. So we don't hire again. We postpone the hiring, only hire background technology and finance, because we have 5 pillars, which is technology, finance, operation means engineer, and in the data science. So if you learn, then you must align with the 5 pillars. You don't need to learn leadership, what we believe, because leadership will burn when you lead people. But the technical wise, you must learn. So that's why company encourage to become super job. You must learn beyond on your domain, beyond your skill, to go to the future growth. Yeah, that's HR future. Yeah.
So that actually ties into my final question to you, Park Satya, about how are you planning to accelerate the HR function So yes, since the study also talks about the building capabilities for HR and how important it is for HR to upskill, what are your views on how are you accelerating your HR function for the future?
So moving from HR traditional become HR value creator, value to the business means that knowing the business and technology, right? See, like a traditional business like transport service management, when Uber come, when Grab come, in Singapore, it's a lot of Grab, right? Gojek also go there, right? Then everything is changed because the game changer coming, all is gone. Only the platform. But the platform is totally different. How HR give a value creator to the business, because all the process employee experience is totally different. How to manage millennial, how to manage baby boomers, everything come together in a one place, right? So you must modify the climate, the culture, the working space maybe, right? Remember, we are at that time I have a room, a big room for me. It's like a king, right? But today on, we cannot. We must open, right? Open space, like sitting in the Starbucks and doing something, enjoy, and people will go, and we call it team collaboration. Now today on must go to that direction. Second, for HR, I think HR must be multi-skill. Like I said before, become super job. You have to know multi-skill. HR is no longer the background is sociology or psychology or social science, but HR now is the background is tech, finance, legal, right? So I implement this and I change my team become more complex. It's not social science, it's not psychologist, but engineer, technology, finance come to my division, right? The third one actually is I challenge to HR to promote and rotate to the business. That's a big challenge. This year's I promote my two direct report go to the business as a sales marketing field. Then they will feel the business impact to their career, right, and the future. And I think the fourth one is to accelerate HR function is a platform, technology, and remember the change management, right? So both of them must be conclude together. And of course, the last one for the accelerating HR function is HR must able to provide the data, how to deal with data, big data, IoT, to be present, to change their descriptive analytic, right? HR always coming with descriptive analytic anyway. Now, how to move become more predictive and prescriptive. And the CEO will smile and working together with HR. That's called business partner, the real business partner.
Great points there. Thanks, Pak Satya. I think yes, HR has to become a true business partner to business. It's no longer about being a support function or an advisor anymore. Shashwat, what would you like to add? I think our study also talked about how business acumen is at the top of HR capabilities that organizations now need to, upskill their HR function on.
Yeah, so to Pak Satya's point, the top skills are, firstly, business acumen is one, but influencing and having trust in relationship are the other two. So that's what Pak Satya was kind of referring to. So one is understanding business and then having more multifunctional skills so that with confidence you can go and, so with HR skill, you can not go and talk business with business. You need to develop. So whatever your background, you need to develop that broader thing. So nothing else from my side. So it was pretty comprehensive input there. From
yes, great. Thank you, Shashwat. My final question I think will be to Pak Satya and Shashwat both. It's about what advice would you give to HR and business leaders? One thing to start and one thing to stop. Pak Satya.
Okay. So one thing continue, think open mind. Whatever the challenge, things like using robotics, distracting your business. But this must be, you must be learned and experienced to do that. Without technology, right? We cannot say that we still manage our 2% margin. But you use technology, maybe you become 40% margin, exponential growth. And now become how to stop. The only ways is, people say too busy, right? Too busy what? Too busy meeting, too busy managing current business, too busy, talking with the colleagues, talking with the vendors, the clients, right? Relationship with them. Stop that. And think about not to be too business, but again, to be relaxed and come with a new idea, how to accelerate to be more exponential growth.
Yeah. Great point. Great point. Thank you so much, Pak Satya. I think, yes, it's about having an open mind and it's about coming up with new ideas in this new world of work. Thank you for sharing that. Shashwat, what's your one thing to start, one thing to stop?
So I'm just trying to see if I can, Pak Satya, the idea was really good. So I don't want to even try to map it. So just to say what Pak Satya said is really important. And this is more of a problem, Pak Satya, in HR, because the background and history of HR, which was really more policing. So you want to appear busy. When you think of, from a startup world, there is this concept of 10x value. There are some employees who create 10x values. A lot of those employees, that 10x does not come from the hours you put in, but the impact and the ideas you create. And that's really needed in HR. So at times when you are thinking of a problem, it's not that you are not working, you are working, but you need to create that white spaces in your mind to be able to solve or connect the dots. Because if you are busy with transactions all the time, it will never happen. So just to add to that new thing to do, to Pak Saty's point, HR should stop doing many things. So a lot of things which were done for 50 years, but no one actually questions them, it still continues. So stop doing those things. So just that, because that will allow you to really free up and be creative.
Right.
So that's the only point from me.
That's true. That's true.
That's true. Yes, absolutely. Being creative. Thank you so much. I think on that note, we come to the end of this episode. Thank you so much for sharing such insightful insights with us. Thank you, Pak Satya, once again for taking the time to be with us today, sharing your experiences in this journey of continuous transformation and improvement. Thank you, Shashwat, once again, and the complete Alight team for their commitment to HR's business impact, for your effort to bring actionable insights to our community and really accelerating its maturity. Thank you once again, Pak Satya. Thank you, Shashwat. And
thank you.
Come to the end of this episode. See you in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we did creating it. Thank you once again. It was a great conversation. See you all very soon.
Thanks, yeah.